My sister's boyfriend, Steve, made cruel remarks about my wife, Kay, and her late best friend's death. When Kay had enough and told him the entire family despises him, my sister demanded a public apology. For context, I'm 36, married to the love of my life, Kay, 36. We've been together since we were 17, though I was still in the closet until I came out at 21. We married in 2019 and adopted our son, Jack, who is now 4. Jack's birth mother, Tess, was Kay's best friend, and her unexpected death in 2021 was a devastating loss. Tess passed away from an undiagnosed heart condition, leaving Jack alone in his crib all day before Kay found him. Tessa's family couldn't take him in, so we adopted Jack as our own. He knows who Tess was, and we raise him with love and care. Now, on to what happened last weekend. The anniversary of Tessa's death hit Kay hard, and we visited Tessa's grave to honor her. Afterward, we attended a family gathering at my parents' house, where things started off quietly. Kay was understandably emotional, and after a walk with my dad, she felt a little better. But Steve made a scene, questioning why they left, then insisting Kay should have gotten over it by now. My grandfather, usually quiet, told Steve he was being out of line, sharing how he still misses his best friend even after 2 decades. That shut Steve up, but it didn't end there. When Kay and my dad returned, everything seemed fine until Steve loudly interrupted a conversation between Kay and my grandfather. He ranted that Kay was getting all the attention because of Tessa's death and told her to get over it. The whole room fell silent, and I could see Kay was about to explode, but instead of raising her voice, she calmly told Steve that she and Grandpa weren't talking about Tess but making plans for the Christmas markets. She then pointedly told him that the whole family hated him because he was a toxic narcissist. Kay made it clear that Steve's unpleasant personality was why no one wanted him around, and even Sarah's family couldn't stand him. She ended by saying Tess, though only 32, had impacted more lives than Steve would ever have, even if he lived to be 150. It was a gut punch, but it was also the truth. Afterward, Kay stepped outside, and I followed her. My dad then told us he'd asked Sarah and Steve to leave. Once they were gone, Kay apologized to everyone, though no one, except for my mom, thought she was in the wrong. My dad even joked that it was ironic the lesbian had told Steve off so bluntly, which lightened the mood. Then, the drama escalated. The next day, Sarah called me, demanding Kay apologize to Steve or they wouldn't attend Christmas. When I reminded her we weren't going to be there, since it was our year with Kay's mom, she was furious. I told her I wouldn't ask Kay to apologize because I agreed with everything she'd said, and so did everyone else. Sarah ended the call, and I went back to work. Later, my dad called, saying he didn't want to spend Christmas with Steve and was asking if Kay's mom would mind extra guests. My dad and my granddad were both done with Steve, even if it meant strained relationships with Sarah. My mom, however, wanted Sarah there and refused to come without Steve. This caused more tension, and now my mom's angry, accusing Kay and my dad of tearing the family apart. Kay has offered to apologize to Steve just to keep the peace, but I've told her there's no need. Everything she said was the truth. Now, I'm stuck in a position where I don't know how to fix things. The family is so united in hating Steve that even if Kay had physically attacked him, they would still stand by her. So, I'm reaching out to anyone who's dealt with difficult family dynamics. How can we come to a place where we can spend time together without all this tension? I'm honestly struggling to see a way forward right now. I didn't realize how long this post was until I went to share it. Apologies for the length. Comments where OP has replied. Commenter, for peace to happen, both parties need to want it. Kay did nothing wrong. I'd never spend another moment with Steve. I'd let Sarah know I love her, but I'd never see Steve again. OP, if one person at the table is determined to ruin the holiday, there's no way forward with them. Commenter, if it was just Sarah upset, I wouldn't care, but it's my mom. She tries so hard to keep the whole family together, and she's devastated by all of this. If it wasn't for her, Sarah could take a hike for all I care. OP, this is the problem. Steve and Sarah don't see anything wrong with his behavior. They think he was just being honest. I'd be open to Kay apologizing if Steve and Sarah also admitted he was wrong, but without that, I'm being stubborn. My dad told Kay he'd fall out with her if she apologized, since she did nothing wrong. There was no yelling, she said it calmly. I feel stuck between making my mom happy and doing what I believe is right. To another commenter, my sister doesn't see anything wrong with Steve's behavior because he's just being honest. But when someone is honest back, she loses it. I just don't understand her anymore. Mom, take the high road and rise above it, are two things my mom always tells us. But I feel like enough is enough. Steve crossed a line this time, and he can't come back from it. I don't want my son around someone who talks like that about Tess. To another commenter, if I hear my mom say, take the high road, again, I'm going to scream. I've been on that road for 8 years. I'm happy to be on the low road now. Later that day. OP, I just found out that my granny and pa, my mom's parents, are going to my uncle's for Christmas, and Steve isn't invited. Looks like it'll just be Mom, Sarah, and Steve for Christmas this year. How OP feels about that, vindicated. My mom's like her parents, they're all peacekeepers. If even they've had enough, it's clear that Steve hasn't just crossed a line, he's trampled it. Update, November 20th, 2024. Hi again. I know you all enjoy updates, so here's the latest on how things are unfolding, sort of. After I posted last, a few things happened. I spoke to my grandparents on my mom's side, who had been involved in everything but are big peacekeepers like my mom. They had planned to spend Christmas with her but decided instead to go to my uncle's place, avoiding Steve due to the drama he stirs up. They asked if they could come see us and Jack on the 23rd before heading to my uncle's, which I happily agreed to. My mom was shocked by this. If even they, the most, take the high road, people I know, were done with Steve, it really showed how much he'd pushed them too far. My dad called to let me know that Steve and Sarah now expect Kay to make a public apology in front of the whole family, admitting she lied and that everyone loves Steve. My dad laughed and called them delusional, so any chance of a superficial apology vanished. Also, Jack came home from after-school club with a recorder that I'm sorely tempted to shove up the teacher's backside. So, overall, not a great day. Through talking to people here, I realized Steve's been trying to push Kay and me out of the family. He arranges trips we can't attend, knowing we wouldn't go anyway. Spending a weekend away with him sounds like a nightmare. He also tries to pull my dad away from Kay during family gatherings, likely out of jealousy over their close relationship. Dad and Kay have a strong bond, regularly going to classic car shows with my granddad. Weekend update. Our town hosts a huge Christmas fair from November through December, and we usually go with my mom, dad, granddad, and Kay's mom. We decided to go this past Sunday to cheer up my mom and have dinner afterward. We told my mom that if Sarah or Steve showed up, we'd leave. She promised they wouldn't be there. At first, things were awkward, but they settled. At one point, Jack convinced my mom and dad to take him on the giant snow slide. When my mom came back over, she had tears in her eyes. I pulled her aside, and she explained that while waiting in line, Jack had said he was happy Uncle Steve wasn't there. When my mom asked why, Jack said, "Uncle Steve is a bad man." My mom tried to argue, but Jack was adamant. He said he learned in school that people who say mean things all the time are bad, and Uncle Steve says mean things all the time. This struck my mom hard. If a 4-year-old could see through Steve's behavior, then she needed to as well. She admitted she felt torn because she loved Sarah but couldn't ignore how awful Steve was. I told her I'd always be there for her, but I wasn't going to put myself, Jack, or Kay through being around Steve again. She needed to think about what she wanted, not what anyone else wanted. She went quiet for a while and then said that Kay's mom had invited her to spend Christmas with them if she wanted, even Christmas morning. Kay's mom promised to save her a plate. We rejoined the group, and a little while later, update on family drama with Sarah and Steve. After seeing Mom and Kay's mom deep in conversation behind us, neither of them will reveal what they talked about, but Mom seemed a bit happier afterward. They've been talking regularly since then. Yesterday, my mom told me she'll be going to Kay's mom's for Christmas, and they've planned to go shopping together next week. When Mom told Sarah, Sarah lost it, accusing her of choosing us over her. My mom calmly replied that she was choosing a peaceful Christmas over being belittled and miserable for Steve's sake and his so-called honesty. Then Sarah called me, asking if I was happy that I'd won. What followed was unforgivable. She hurled a few homophobic slurs at me and Kay and called Jack a bastard. I ended the call immediately, blocked her on all platforms, and informed the family. They're all appalled. My mom's mom called Sarah and told her she was dead to her for bringing bigotry into the family. Sarah's been trying to reach out to apologize, but I've been blocking her new accounts. Steve reached out to my dad, and when Dad finally answered, Steve tried to downplay Sarah's outburst, claiming she was just angry. Dad gave him a verbal lashing, telling him he was the worst thing to ever happen to Sarah and the family. Dad told Sarah that he's disgusted with her, but would be there if she left Steve. Until then, though, she's on her own. Mom's gone low contact, but she's leaving the door open for Sarah to return if she changes. Some have suggested that Steve may be abusive towards Sarah, but I don't think so. He's more of a narcissist who seeks attention by being a jerk. He and Sarah feed off each other's toxicity. She lets him get away with it because it lets her enjoy seeing us stay silent. Mom, Dad, our grandparents, and extended family are all furious. Kay's been my rock, though I can tell she's really upset by what Sarah said about Jack. I'm just exhausted and done with it. At least now I know what Sarah truly thinks of Jack, Kay, and me. It's sad that this is how our relationship has ended, but I'm ready to move on. The good news, this Christmas, both sides of the family will be together, and I won't have to worry about Steve's behavior. It's still hard to get into the Christmas spirit, though. The only things that cheer me up are Kay and Jack being goofy, though I swear, the recorder they brought home can go straight to hell. Thanks again for all the support on my original post. You've opened my eyes to a lot. Maybe asking internet strangers for advice is the way to go. Hope everyone has a good Christmas and holiday season. Next story, wife upset over packing daughter's non-cultural lunches. My wife Sarah, 36F, and I, 35M, have an 11-year-old daughter, Lily. This issue started recently when Lily came home crying about her lunch. Sarah often packs her traditional Indian food, like rice with dal, which Lily used to love, but at school, the other kids started making fun of her food. I can relate. I grew up in a Chinese family and had the same experience. Lily didn't want us to report the problem because she didn't want to be called a snitch. So Sarah contacted the principal. They spoke with the parents but didn't do much beyond that. Meanwhile, Lily kept coming home upset, often not even touching her lunch. Sarah would yell at her for not eating. I wanted Lily to eat, so I started packing her sandwiches or mac and cheese, hoping it'd help her fit in. When nothing else worked, I'd secretly pack Lily's lunch in the morning, which made her happy, and she'd come home in a better mood. But when Sarah found out, she got furious. She accused me of denying Lily her culture, saying I was teaching her to get whatever she wants. Edit, I'm bringing this up to Sarah tonight. I'll post an update if we reach a conclusion. Update 1, thanks for all the comments. Many agreed with me, suggesting I let Lily pick her lunch. I showed the post to Sarah, and after a long talk, we both sat down with Lily. She admitted the bullying had been happening for longer than we thought and said she liked the lunches I'd been packing. In the end, Sarah agreed that Lily could take whatever lunch she wanted, as long as she ate homemade food, Chinese or Indian, for dinner or breakfast. As for the school, we reached out to the school board superintendent, and we're waiting for a response. Update 2, sorry for the delay. The superintendent and school board were incredibly helpful. We had a meeting and learned that 2 girls were major contributors to the bullying. One received detention, and the other got suspended. Their parents were apologetic and supportive, which was a relief. Lily is doing much better now and seems happier at school. Thanks for the support, everyone.